In this video, we're going to look at how we can add error bars to a figure that we've made. So on the right hand side here, we have a figure that I've made on the means of the weight loss data between placebo and Ozempic. But now what I need to do to make this in line with the APA style is I need to add the standard deviation for each data point. The way to do this is to firstly click on the chart that you've created. And when you do that, what you're going to see is this little green plus symbol will appear. If you expand this, this is going to be where you can change all of your chart elements. In some other versions of Excel, you might find the chart elements section up on this bar here. So make sure you look around for it, but what you need to find is the part where you can add the chart elements. So I'm going to expand that and then come down to error bars here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check error bars, and then I'm going to click the chevron to the right hand side of it. It's going to allow me to expand those options. What I want to do then is I want to go to more options. You don't want to just click standard deviation because that's going to give an incorrect value. What we want to do is click more options. You can see it's going to say which series do I want to add the error bars to. We're going to need to add it to both series, so we'll just start by adding it to the placebo first. And what you'll see is this column, pane, that opens up on the right hand side. This is going to be what we want to use to format everything here. So I'm just going to move this here just so that it's nice and visible to you. To add the standard deviations, what we're going to have to do is look through the options, and when we want to specify the error amount, we're going to go down to custom here. And when we check custom, it's going to open up the option for us to specify the value. What it's going to do is it's going to open up another window, and it's going to allow us to specify the specific positive and negative error values for the placebo group. In this case, we're using the standard deviation, and the standard deviation is the same value for the positive error as it is for the negative error. So we want to put the same number in the positive and negative box. And the number that we're going to want to do and select is going to be the standard deviation that we calculated earlier. And we want to put each individual standard deviation for each individual time point, because if you look at the data, what we can see is that each standard deviation value for each time point in the placebo group is slightly different from each other. So we want to make sure that we have the correct standard deviation that corresponds to the mean of the data point. So to do this, what we're going to do is just select the data from left to right again. This will add it in order from left to right on the graph. I'm going to do that for both the positive and the negative values, and just click and highlight those. Then I'm going to hit OK, and what you'll see is now on my graph that's added the error bars. And you'll know you've done it right because if you look at the top end of the error bar and you to the mean, what we can see is that if we add that to the mean with our data, 108 plus 12, roughly, that gives us about 120. If we look at the top end of the error bar on our graph for baseline, we can see that that top end error bar is about 120. So we know that the numbers here that we've calculated are being reflected on the graph correctly. So that's just your little way to test it. Now what we're going to want to do is add the error bars for the Ozempic group. So what we can do is we can click on the Ozempic line, and we're going to go to open this, go error bars and go more options. And then we're going to repeat the process. We've got to come up to this symbol here to show the error bars, and we're going to go to custom again and specify value. But this time we're going to make sure that we do it for the standard deviations of the Ozempic group now. So I'm going to quickly do that again because it blocked the numbers. That's one of the nice quirks of Excel, is that it can get a bit clunky at times. So I'm just going to do the same exact process that I did for the placebo group, but I'm just going to use the standard deviation values now for the Ozempic group. So I'm going to hit OK there. And now if I scroll up, we now have the standard deviation bars selected correctly. Now, if you look at this figure, whilst we have the standard deviation bars added correctly, we can see that they overlap a lot here, and it makes it quite confusing to read. So what is generally the common practice to do with APA figures is to make the standard deviation bars on the series, which generally has the higher mean value, to be only positive. So what I can do there is click on the error bars to highlight them, and I'll come back to this option, and I'm going to ask it for only to present the plus or positive error bars. And then for the series where the mean values are typically lower, I'm going to present those as only minus instead of both. And you can see what that's done to the graph now is that it's made it a lot more clear to interpret. So we still have an idea of the variation with at least one error bar, but we haven't just got too many overlapping now that it makes it kind of confusing to look at. The last thing we need to do with the error bars is just to make sure that they are formatted appropriately. So we can start to change the thickness of them. I typically make them a little bit thinner here to just make them look a bit cleaner. And then we've got to make sure that the color is black. We want nice dark error bars here. So we're going to make sure that's consistent across both series. And now you can see that those error bars are now black and thinner, and that just makes them look a little bit more tidy on the figure, and overall makes it look a bit more professional. So that's how you add the error bars, and it would be the same process if you was creating a scatter graph or if you was creating a bar graph.